Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second edition of the Ghana E-Commerce Association webinar series through COVID-19. Today, we are talking about emergence after lockdown, opportunities, trends, and strategies for the e-commerce space on the continent and also specifically in Ghana. My name is Anita Esino, and your host for this session with our panelists. Before we start, just to remind you that please mute your microphone and so that we don't get any feed or any distractions during the session. If during the session you have any issues, please do type them in the questions tab, or which you can send directly to me, and we will address it as we go along. As we are also doing the discussions, if you have any questions, you can use your questions tab and write your questions on there, and I will bring it to the attention of the panelist. Thank you very much. Okay, so on our agenda in a moment, I'll just run through and welcome our panelists, and then of course give you a very short update or briefing on the E-Commerce Association. And then we'll move on to the webinar synopsis. We'll take the perspectives of the panelists, and then we'll go into our questions and answers sessions. So if you have questions, you may at that point put them through the tab, and we will do our best to answer as many questions as possible as we have in this time. Okay, so I've introduced myself. I'm Anita Esino. I am a board secretary of the E-Commerce Association of Ghana, and I'm going to be hosting this session. I'm going to move over and ask Mr. John Taylor, who is the owner of GhanaMart.com, to introduce himself, and then I'll move on to the other panelists. So over to you, Mr. Taylor, to introduce yourself to our attendees.
Okay, my name is John Taylor. I run GhanaMart.com. GhanaMart is an e-commerce platform. We primarily target customers abroad who want to buy some goods and some services for family here. Most of my customers, not most, about 95% of my customers are abroad. As they go on my website, they want to buy grocery, data, cell phone units, or maybe pay some utilities. We have a platform where they can do that on our website, and we deliver it here in Ghana. That's just a brief about me.
Fantastic, Mr. Taylor. We look forward to hearing a little bit more about GhanaMart.com as we move along. Move over to you, Mr. Theodore Lawson, who is the COO of AfricaCart.com. To introduce yourself.
Okay. Thank you, Anita. Good morning again to everyone. Yes, my name is Theodore Lawson. I'm the co-founder of AfricaCart and currently the COO. We've been running AfricaCart for a little over 5 years now, and our categories mainly had been electronics, and then we introduced a bit of groceries not too long ago. Our target group, it's normally local. I mean, everywhere we deliver across the country. We also run a multi-channel, so we also have pickup points spread across the country also, just to be closer to our target market. As we go on, when questions come, we'll do our best to give insight as to what we've been doing so far. Thank you very much.
Fantastic, thank you, Theodore. And then over to you, Mr. Ebenezer Latte, who is the CEO of MarketExpress.com. Introduce yourself
Hi.
to the audience. Hello, Ebenezer.
Hi, good morning, Anita and panelists and attendees. My name is Ebenezer Latte. I'm a former banker. Currently, I've been running Market Express for almost 4 years. And we also work primarily in the grocery space. Like Mr. Taylor, we also attend to some foreign customers and predominantly local customers. And we also run a smart distribution service. So those are the two lines we do at Market Express. And I'm very happy to be here today.
Fantastic. It's very good. I'm very happy you're all here as well, because you're all having an e-commerce store, or in the business. So I'm very sure we're going to get very good conversation going today to help our other attendees or those who are considering going into the commerce space. Okay, just before we start, of course, I have to give you a background about the E-Commerce Association of Ghana. So the E-Commerce Association of Ghana has actually been in existence informally since 2013 and was officially founded, meaning registered with all its legalities, in 2019, with a purpose of setting standards, encouraging good practice, providing information, promoting the use of e-commerce and making it a driving force of economic growth in Ghana. Whether you are an established e-commerce business in Ghana or you're still planning your journey, joining the E-Commerce Association of Ghana opens the doors to greater knowledge, visibility, and success. We are very serious about making this a modern association, keeping up with what's going on globally and trying to really build a good commerce community in Ghana, and actually also tapping into other e-commerce groups on the continent as well. So it is really the association to join if you're in the commerce space. Our mission really is to seek to shape and secure the digital future for e-commerce growth and become the sole voice of all e-commerce companies selling goods and or services online, whilst making sure, very importantly, we're safeguarding the interest of all stakeholders in the industry as well. So we're not really a regulatory, we're more a standards association. And it's very important that as an industry, we do have standards and we do have one voice and also a channel to address the challenges that are affecting our industry, so that we will actually all mutually benefit. So this is the aim of the association. So, memberships are there, different levels. And here I just want to point out the 6 reasons why you should become a member. So number 1 is growth, promotion of your online business. There's data access and research, advocacy. And whilst I just mentioned the data access and research, if you've not yet responded to our e-commerce surveys, please do. I think they're going to reshare it again so that we can share the data. Every time we do something in Ghana or in Africa, people will ask, do we have data? We can only get data if everybody actually participates in answering questions. If we don't participate in surveys, it becomes very difficult to bring you data. So please, want to encourage you that when we send you surveys and we're asking questions, it's really just so that we can bring you information that you can make business decisions on. All right, so we've been doing one which has been really targeting the consumers, asking how they're shopping, how they're buying, which was very insightful. So things like, we found out that things like, this is specifically to Ghana, consumers were like, no, they're not comfortable to go to malls and kind of brick and mortar buildings at the moment. If they can get what they're looking for online, they will, and so, which is very important to you as we come on to discuss these issues. So just encouraging you there. But that's one of the benefits of being a member of the association. Of course, advocacy is going to be very important. We do have to champion our issues. We do need an environment that we can actually function our e-commerce businesses. So engaging with stakeholders like the government and other institutions to champion some of our issues will be something that we'll be doing. Networking events, Zoom meetings as well, because of course we're in COVID, so we have to vary the way that we network, but we hope in better times, of course, we will be meeting and schmoozing over various good beverages and refreshments. But yes, you can expect a lot of networking events as well. Oversee business missions and events. Even now as I speak, we're having a lot of connections with other industry players, other associations who are all very interested about cross-selling and partnering with other e-commerce businesses in Ghana and so on. So we will be doing a lot of these missions and these type of meet the buyer or partnership type exchanges as well for members, because of course we're in business to make money and to expand. So we have to look at opportunities, not just in our spaces. And then, of course, free discounts on industry events, conferences, seminars, and of course, we will also be having, and as far as we're going to be trying to do a lot of these type of complimentary webinars, because we want to share information. We will also be doing some specific paid webinars or training sessions and that. And all these type of paid events all go towards running the association, so we can bring you, you know, a world-class association. So there are annual membership fees. So we have individual membership fees, which is $200 for the year. SME membership with 10 to 49 employees, which is $500 for the year. And then of course the large enterprise membership, which is with 50 to 249 employees, which is $1,000 for the year. And there are payment plan and options available. So, you know, don't let price become a barrier to joining. There are options. We understand the times we are facing. We don't want that to stop people joining. So payment plans or options are there to discuss. All right, okay. So that's a bit about the e-commerce association. We are on all the social social hooks. So you can follow us on LinkedIn. We are on Twitter. We are on Facebook. And we also have a YouTube channel where we put the recordings of our webinars or any other video activities that we do. We'll be putting on our YouTube channel. So please do subscribe there as well. Okay, so let's move on to the topic of the day. So we're going to, before we do that, I just want to bring us all onto one page as to why we're even having this conversation. So we all know about our, you know, our unlikable friend, Corona, who has been with us for some months now. The World Health Organization declared it, the COVID-19, as a pandemic on the 11th of March. And since then, we have been in this situation, and it has been causing a whole heap of challenges and opportunities to us as we've been going through it. So one of the main issues had been around business continuity. So we had all businesses, you know, affected in some way, even the ones in the green. We had lockdowns, some were partial, some were full lockdowns. The work environments changed. People were working from home. People were working from sites, and then we had impact. Of course, the impact continues on cash flow, the supply chain, sales workers and customers, and then health and safety issues as well emerged. And then of course, all of this has been causing a very big disruption. And insofar as we're not happy about it, in the issue of the e-commerce, it is one of the winners. So when all this started, of course, economists and analysts started trying to look at what's happening in the markets and in the industries, and came up with potential winners and losers in the short term. So some of these will probably shift and change as time goes on. So some of the potential losers, meaning that those who are not having such a great time with COVID, i.e. it's had a significant impact on their business, on the businesses in that particular sector or even that particular industry, are the ones we are referring to as potential losers. So the tourist and leisure, we know aviation, automotives, construction and real estate are really hard hit. Manufacturing and financial service, education and oil and gas are kind of in the orange, thereabouts, meaning kind of in there, but they are not in the green. Those in the green are the potential winners, of which e-commerce is one of them. All right, so food processing and retail, medical supply services, personal and healthcare, ICT, all these are potential winners, meaning that yes, they may be having some impact of COVID, but it's actually positive. They're in the green. All right, so if you're in the e-commerce, you're supposed to be in the green. You're supposed to be in the potential winner. So if you're not winning, you need to be looking at why that is not happening. So having said that, what has moved e-commerce into this green is that there was an impact, all right, from these lockdowns or restrictions that were imposed. So this now forced customers to change actually, temporarily anyway, their shopping behaviors. Okay, so there was this surge online all over the place where people were not ready to, obviously they couldn't go out, they've been told not to, so they had to get their produce somehow, and of course they took to the online store. So Corona has changed the way that the consumer shops. Approximately 47% of poll respondents stated that they are avoiding malls and shopping centers and physical places. Many retailers have also moved their shops online, especially because people are not actually visiting the shops, the physical shops. So a lot of retailers have also gone online. Retailers like grocery, apparel, entertainment, shopping, they are even saying they replace the traditional mall visiting and physical stores in the long term, or at least as we are in this current crisis. So COVID is transforming the e-commerce front. Okay, retailers online are reporting, or were reporting, and we're going to find out if that is still the case for us, revenue growth, all right, due to the growth on online orders. Online conversion rates increased. Mobile devices, we found out, are the most popular device for online shopping by a wide margin. So this actually gave us the indication that on our websites, we really have to check the mobile view of our websites to make sure our customers are seeing the best when they are using their phones. E-commerce, and they are saying that a lot of it is also because it's time saving, and of course, when it's done well, it's efficient, and therefore it's here to stay. And we are going to be discussing to see, is that the case as restrictions move. Now, last time in our last session, Albert Biga of the CEO and founder of Zuba Shop shared some numbers with me, and I think it's important to look at those in our conversation we're about to have. And if you also want to check out the source, it is one of the McKinsey research, and I've put the source at the bottom there. So if you want to check it out, you can. And then also, if you've not heard of Statista, they also do a lot of reporting and stuff, and this information is coming from there. So you can check out the sources and get more in-depth information on this. But anyway, so some of the stats that he shared, which I think is important to tap on as we're going to be talking about what's happening now, is that number one is that over 500 million internet users are in Africa, which is very good news for us, and it can only go up. Close to 350 million are using smartphones and MIDs. Over 400 million e-commerce users, expected to grow to 481.9 million by 2024. So we can see that that's a lot of growth. E-commerce market is in US dollars 19 million, 401 million in 2020, and growth is expected, and I'll show you that in a minute. Revenue is expected to show an annual growth rate of 17.2%. results in a market volume of 36 million by 2024, which is great. User penetration is 24.3% in 2020, and is expected to hit 37.5% by 2024. The average revenue per ARPU currently amounts to about 68.15 US dollars. All right, so these are really encouraging figures. It means it's only going to grow. All right, so we've got to position ourselves to make sure that we're able to tap into it. And then it further goes on to kind of break down the growth categories in terms of the items, or let's say the products and services that actually you're seeing a progressive growth, or is being projected are going to grow up to the 2024. So you see fashion is the blue, electronic media is the deeper blue, toys, hobbies and DIY is the gray, the furniture appliances is the yellow, and then food and personal care is the green. And you can very much see we're in 2020. That's the point we're making. There's like 19 million. You can see that as the years are going, you can just see the growth happening, particularly between the fashion and the whole, you can see here as well, the electronic media is also going, and of course the food as well. So this also gives you a bit of insight if you're kind of thinking about going into e-commerce, to kind of know which areas maybe to consider. Of course, there are other opportunities that may not be showing here. There are other, and COVID has actually brought new needs and things as well that you may want to consider. But at least this tells you the main areas to be looking at there. And it's also telling you the revenue in the e-commerce amount that we can be expecting to be happening over these periods there. So this, for those of you who are listening, tells you that it makes business sense if you're in the e-commerce space to keep pushing and to really be improving to ensure that you tackle this. So now this brings us to the question of asking, you know, all of this data, all of these things that are supposed to be happening, revenue growth and increase in surges online, etc., which we know a lot is to do with the COVID-19. We now have to ask, after lockdown, you know, what is the impact? Are we still feeling these impacts that I've just explained, or have we gone back to our normal ways? Are we just dreaming of these ideas of opportunity, or are they there? All right. Now, at this point, I'm going to go to my panelists to kind of give me their perspective on some of the points that I've just given as the foundation, but then also I want them to speak to, you know, briefly their thoughts on what is the impact on the e-commerce now that restrictions have been eased in Ghana and Africa-wide specifically. So I'll come to you first, John, for your perspective. So over to you.
All right, thank you very much. You know, obviously I'm going to start with, you know, my experience, what I felt and what I think. And I think before this we were talking about it. I say that COVID or the lockdown was pretty much a blessing for us. The demand for services was just, you know, it was off the roof. It was extremely high. So definitely after the lockdown, it slowed down a little bit, you know. But, you know, just like any business, you know, it brought in a whole lot of new people. Some stayed, some didn't. It opened a new perspective to me. I call it a double-edged sword, okay? Supply chains, you know, there were lots of my distributors, some of them, you know, were just scared to even open up, even though, you know, the president had said e-commerce and food, you know, some harassment from the police here and there. So we really had a challenge and had to expand where we get products, you know, how we serve people during the lockdown. After the lockdown, a lot of those have improved, you know, obviously, we got to do a whole lot more to attract more customers and keep the flow going. Once you get more players coming into your space, you know, if you have the data, you look out to them, pretty much put your product in front of them and challenge more. So after the lockdown, the impact, it hasn't been the same. Let me put it that way. The lockdown was a whole lot more, you know, brought us more sales than now. Now it's better than before the lockdown, but, you know, there's still a whole lot of work to do to get us up to where we were.
Right. Thank you, John. So, Ebenezer, are you sharing John's perspective, or do you want to bring us your own or add to what he's just said in relation to the impact?
All right. Thank you for the question. So I think that all of us will have almost similar experiences. So the lockdown was, I think, the best, it was a good foresight to what the future can be. Because for us, our biggest stretch was, it actually stretched our delivery team, and we needed to bring in external people to join, because for a very long time we've run our logistics internally and our deliveries. but it was good for us. It was a good opportunity. But after the lockdown, people went back to what they were used to doing, and even though with hesitation, we see that there's a definite improvement in what it was before compared to what it is now. And for us at Market Express, basically what we did during the lockdown was to say, this is not necessarily an opportunity to make money. It's an opportunity to win customers. And so we really didn't make money, even though we had great sales, but we really didn't make money. The reason was we focused on giving people an experience of what they had never tried, and especially erasing people's skepticism. Because, and usually the biggest barrier will be, do I have to pay for delivery fees and things like that? And so what we did was, within the whole lockdown period, we didn't charge anybody delivery fees and gave them no excuse to experience the service. And so that also allowed us get a lot of word of mouth, a lot of people calling, instead of even going to the platform, calling and saying, hey, my friend used your service and I want to do the same. You know, so those are the positives. I think what the biggest opportunity is now is for us to use our customer service to make the people stay. And so going forward, that's what we need to work on. Fortunately, we've been able to rope in some people, but we need to ensure that it's a memorable service for them to want to keep going. E-commerce will definitely grow, whether we like it or not, because all of us put together, when I say all of us put together, I mean Jumia, everybody put together. In the retail market, we are not doing 1% of the total retail in Ghana. And so there's a big opportunity ahead of us. And I don't think that it's an opportunity for one company to take, but it's an opportunity for all of us to work around building an ecosystem that is credible and serves us well into the future.
Exactly. And over to you, Theodore. What's your perspective on this?
Thank you, Anita. I want to start with how do you call it, a quote? I have a quote here. It says, I agree with Satya Nadella, who's the CEO of Microsoft. He said recently that we have seen years of digital transformation in just few months. And that is true for us here as well. What I would say is, for us, our main category had been electronics and media. And so before the lockdown, that's when we started, I mean, from December, we started doing some hampers, you know, here and there. And so when the lockdown came in, then we had a surge in the other angle for groceries and essentials, and people were calling for that more, and the electronics and the media went, you know, more like to the back burner. And so we had, you know, we didn't really stock up things to be able to do delivery. People would, the wholesalers would also depend on, had also shut down and gone home and locked down at home. So it was a bit of a challenge for us. But then over time, when people were getting the idea of e-commerce was enabled or e-commerce was allowed, it was also part of the exemption. So e-commerce was allowed to operate. Within the last week before the lockdown was lifted, we had some of the suppliers who were giving us, you know, those groceries, and we're doing delivery here and there. My point is, what really happened with the COVID was, we are in a space, all right, but with the mentioning of e-commerce being an exemption or being stressed in the president's address, it opened a new thing, it created something new in our industry, because people either who didn't know about e-commerce or didn't appreciate what we're doing, or we're on the back burner or on the edge, all of a sudden got to know, oh, there's something called e-commerce. Oh, how do I get my things? E-commerce can do my delivery. Oh, I can get my things here. I'm locked down. I can't move. That. So then it was was a great opportunity. So like my other co-panelists are saying, there was a great opportunity. We've tested it, we've seen it. We don't want it to be a panic buy or situational thing that we had just for a temporary time, but we can chance on what we had, the customers we were able to build, and then be able to scale it up to a greater unit. And as an industry, if we do more, those that we've been able to catch into the net, you know, to say that, would stay with us, and then e-commerce will see the growth we want and the growth we strive for in this part of our region. Thank you.
Thank you, Fredo. Okay, so from what I've taken from your perspective is that, yes, the lockdown you did see an influx, a surge in the online activities in terms of customers shopping online. Since the restrictions have been removed, it has come down a bit. And what we're saying is that we should actually be working to keep that consistency, regardless of whether there is a crisis or not. It should become like a normal practice. Yeah. And I think John made the point that it's actually giving us an insight into the fact that it's actually very doable. So I'm just thinking one of the questions, I guess, as we go along, we may want to be looking at is, you know, what we need to be thinking about to get the customers seeing it as an everyday option and not just when there is a situation. I think that's one of the key things coming out of your perspectives there. Okay. So let's move on. I mean, I have some specific questions here that I am going to be asking. Of course, our audience, if you have questions, you can also put them in the questions tab, and I will bring it to the attention of the panelists for them to speak into. Now, you've just explained to us that yes, the e-commerce, when the lockdown happened, there was a surge. So I'm assuming that with this question, are you feeling this growth? Are we feeling this growth in Ghana? Would we agree that yes, we have felt some growth due to COVID? Would we say that in terms of e-commerce growth? Would you agree with that comment? Oh.
Who is it to, please?
Oh, sorry, to all of you actually. So maybe we'll start with John. You know, basically, just to give the background, initially it was that there will be very slow growth in e-commerce in the Middle East and Africa. And with online shopping, they were saying was going to represent only 2% of the total retail sales in the region from 2017. And this figure was predicted not to increase significantly up to 2021. So it also expected that only 2% of total retail sales would happen in the region. Then, of course, this crisis happened. So I'm asking, are we feeling a higher growth than this 2% that was predicted, or are we not?
Well, look, I think we're feeling the growth. You know, obviously, look, e-commerce, the COVID spike was global. It wasn't just here. Wherever there was a lockdown global, worldwide, people were doing lots of purchases online. You know, you just stay home, the item brings it to your house. The problem with here that I think hasn't really propelled it, and I know this is not a topic about issues or problems, so I'm not kind of really delving into it, but we have our own challenges, okay? So someone orders something, and we talked about it a little bit. They are somewhere, I don't know, all these, I don't know, somewhere, Amasaman somewhere. And, you know, I've had issues where you have to go deliver something to someone, and you have to call them for directions, you know, without an advanced addressing system. You know, I've had my delivery guys drive all the way to, let's say, Amasaman, and call me back. We're calling the guy, he's not picking up, you know, until the guy picks up and tells you to go under that mango tree and make a left, make a right, you're not able to get there. Whereas if it was advanced, I could just go there and drop. So we're feeling the growth, but to be able to sustain that growth, you know, there are a couple of challenges that we have to kind of plug in and work them out. So it's a yes and no. Yes, we are feeling the growth, but people have gone back. They will just, this is what I also sell airtime on my website, okay? And obviously, because I'm selling it on my website, you know, there's a little premium on it. And one thing that I tell, you know, people is, you know, obviously, if you can't go out, you're going to come to my website and make a purchase. It's like you're in a hotel and that bottle of water costs 10 cities. If you are thirsty, you're gonna drink it. But during the day, you probably pass by a shop and pick it up. Okay, so you'll probably go to the vendor out there and pay 5 cities. If you need it, you're gonna do what they call it, pay online. So the demand and the necessity, yes, drove people and kind of propelled that spike for that 3-week period. It slowed down a little bit. Are we feeling the growth? Yes, but I don't think we are anywhere near what the potential could be. We are nowhere near there, just because of some small problems here and there that, obviously, eventually, we'll all iron out. I have no doubt.
Mm. Okay, Ebenezer and Theodore, did you want to add anything to that?
Yes,
okay.
I want to come in here.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so yes, are we feeling the growth? I might say we are seeing the growth. Seeing the growth in the sense that we are seeing activities happening online geared towards e-commerce. So definitely spaces that were basically for entertainment had more turned into, let's take social media, for instance. People are now trying to, a way selling things, whatever they get on their WhatsApp status, Facebook pages. You see people trying to, do some conversion there. So we are seeing it, but filling it with the representative figure that was predicted, 2%. I think we are way below 2%. I mean, of the total retail in the region, then we are way below that. Are we also seeing it? Yes, I would say we are seeing it because we are seeing a lot of delivery going on, and that might not be a complete e-commerce, but it's a part of e-commerce. It's a department of e-commerce where fulfillment, so order fulfillment are going around all the places. We see a growth in number of number of individuals joining the delivery services. We have companies setting up, doing deliveries for corner shops, restaurants, food vendors and all that. So yes, we are seeing the thing, but the feeling or the growth compared to the 2% of a total retail, even here in Ghana, I don't think we are that close to it. We are far away below this. Thank you.
Okay. Theo, did you want to add anything to that?
I wanted to say that I think this journey is a long-term journey. E-commerce requires every entrepreneur to be very patient. I think the real benefit from COVID is moving e-commerce from a peripheral thing that people do to making it a viable option for our everyday lives. I would say that for a very long time, people knew there was e-commerce, but people went there only when it was the last resort. Currently, what this situation has brought to the fore is that we can expand our options for finding things. However, it's more possible to find things online, or it's faster to find things online than to do it through looking through physical shops and things. But I think that the real market that we are all looking at are the next middle class. So I don't think that this has changed the prediction of the growth for e-commerce. I really think that the prediction is accurate, and the prediction is based on the generation that's likely to use more technology on this part of the world, and also the group of people who are tech savvy. So currently the people who have the spending power are our middle class. Presently, the majority of our middle class are not very tech savvy, or they are not willing to use technology for certain things. However, the younger generation, these young ones who are just coming out of university, who are likely to be the next middle class, are familiar with technology, social media, and stuff like that. And so that's when we'll really have the real growth. And so it takes patience to build something that works, especially in e-commerce and all electronic solutions. And I think that what this pandemic has brought us is now people can openly talk about e-commerce. We've had an opportunity to differentiate between proper e-commerce companies and people who are really rendering service versus the past where people are generally afraid who is a credible one, who is not, and things like that. And so I really think that it's good that the COVID happened. It's going to fast track our identity and belief. But for real sales growth, it's still largely dependent on the next generation that have the spending power to be able to make these financial decisions.
That's a very good point. Okay, so here we're saying that we're not yet feeling, let's say, the 2% of total retail sales, but definitely we are seeing and feeling some sales. But the spending power may not be right now. It may be a little bit more into our new normal, or that's what we're saying here. Okay, so now, what products? So online grocery, apparel, entertainment, shopping are said to be on top in the developed nations, okay, in terms of what people are buying online a lot. So I want to ask this question again in terms of what products and services are selling the most in Ghana? Like, is it the same as this, or are there more? Or, you know, also in that answer, you could also, are there other products or other services that people need to think about? Because we know that we you know, there's still a lot of growth potential for new e-commerce shops to come on board and bring new services, new products. So I want to start with the question: what products and services are selling the most in Ghana? And for those of you who can input from on the continent too, you can also speak to that. So if I start with you, Theo, this time, like on products.
Okay, so like I said before, I mean, we were primarily on electronics. That's our main category. But what we've also noticed, it's, you know, I mean, during the COVID time, like I said, the groceries category also, you know, we had a surge in there. We had people calling for them and all that. From our business, we also have a hardware, you know, component to our business, which is more like towels, dolls, you know, sanitary ware and everything. Now, gradually the space has opened. And so what we are doing now is those items are also gradually getting online, and we're getting good feedback. So it means that people are online now looking for dolls, like hardware, like dolls. I'm looking for bathtubs, looking for jacuzzis. It's amazing, you know, so that is also selling. Electronics is selling, furniture is equally selling. I mean, if you go to our social media platforms now, like Facebook, people are posting that and directing people from social media platforms like Facebook to their websites to make purchases. So obviously the basket, the e-commerce shopping basket has grown, or it's expanding, and the categories are expanding. So it used to be electronics and phones and all that. The food has come in. Then there's the new category of pharma. So the pharmacy products, you know, basic things that we can buy on the counter. You know, we can have sanitizer, all those things are coming in now, you know, hygiene, things like that are also coming in. So yes, for goods and things that are selling, that's fine. About services, I'm looking at more of, you know, they said people would join, other services would come in. Maybe it's the B2B aspect that we've not really looked at properly. Business to business aspects that we've not really seen a lot around, which I think it's a service that the Ghanaian public now, as we have now, will be ready to also engage in services like that, business to business, in the automobile industry, hardware, like I'm saying, people buying and contractors going on a specific website to find, you know, things like nails, things like, you know, cement, things, different things like that. If those B2B services are in those very verticals I'm mentioning, then it will also be a good thing for Ghana and Africa as a whole. Thank you.
Ebenezer, what about you? What products, services are selling the most?
Okay, so I will go into a philosophical argument. So I think that a lot of the mistake a lot of we going into e-commerce have made over the years has been that we wanted to copy what happens in America and the West and replicate that in Africa. But as e-commerce started with books and electronics in America, I have always believed, and I still believe, that the way to grow e-commerce in Africa is grocery. And the reason is that a lot of people spend their money predominantly on food and essential things before they think about gadgets and things like that. So that was actually the main reason why we decided that we're going to focus more on grocery and consumables, because we believe that it has a large market potential. Now, the data shows us that even in the COVID times, people needed to spend money on essentials. And so when my colleague was just speaking, he talked about the other new products they had to innovate to add to their electronics. And if you look at the other things they needed to add, these were consumables. If you look in the industry, you'll find that people who go online looking for specific electronics are sometimes, they probably can't find it. That's why they are doing that. And in other situations, they have had a bargain. And I don't think that we can build an industry around always offering discounts and bargains and discounts and bargains. The only way to grow e-commerce well and let people use it as an everyday thing is mainly around everyday consumer goods. And you would see that the slide you shared showed that food and FMCG was in the green and is going to be in the green for a while. And so everybody is responding to that. Jumia for a very long time would not do anything in food. I remember conversations we've had over the years, but all of a sudden, everybody switches to food. It should tell us that our people are not, they don't have that much disposable income to want to buy expensive items over the period. And if there's any part of the industry we really need to focus and build, it's definitely on the consumable side. And as people's incomes increase, we can then see a growth in the electronics part or the relatively higher ticket items that people spend on.
Okay. John, what about you?
Yes, so, I'm going to share this, based on my own perspective. I'm not going to pretend I know everything that sells or what mostly sells, but I'm big in the grocery section, obviously. Like I said, I have an unorthodox type of business where I target people abroad wanting to buy grocery for their families back here. And Ebenezer is right. You realize remittances are a huge deal. People send money here all the time. You're abroad, you want to send money to your family. Can you hear me? Okay. You want to send money to your family down here, you are obviously, thinking about their day-to-day basic eating. So grocery, in my opinion, or in my part of the business, has been a big deal. It sells huge for me. Now, as a personal experience, right now in Ghana here, if I want to buy electronic, I rarely do it online. I'm being very direct. I've never bought TV and I'm not saying it wouldn't grow or it's not there, but just quite recently, less than a couple of days ago, my microwave broke down and I needed to buy one. And believe it or not, I was very hesitant to go online. I was actually my house help who was like, no, let's go online and buy it. And I'm a technology guy. That's my background. So if I was a little bit hesitant to just go online and buy it, I'm thinking, quite a few folks have not totally jumped on it. I'm not saying it's not there. I'm just, this is just from my personal experience. I'm just saying, I don't think it's become a huge deal yet. However, sardine is sardine. Whether you go to the shop or you go somewhere else or what is sardine, it's the same thing. You don't have to feel it, you don't have to see it, you don't have to test it. It comes so many sardines. You might not get lucky, it may only be two inside, but it's still the same sardine. You know, so that's my experience. I just think for now, the grocery and food services seems to be working for me, you know. As of, if that's the trend, I'll be honest, and you know, the answer to that is I don't know if that's the new trend or that's what will trend. You know?
I think basically you've all kind of confirmed that food is definitely one of them. I think one of the points that I want to pick up on, I think it was Theo, maybe Ebenezer, who made the point reference to the services, the B2B. I think what I've seen happening with some businesses, for example, people selling, doing salon or selling beauty products, is that they've added, they have e-commerce stores, so you can go and buy whether it's hair or makeup, whatever it is that you're buying. But they also added a service, because if I'm afraid to come out or come into your shop, I'm not sure of your safety practices, I still should be able to access information or guide to be able to buy. So they added consultations, so you could talk to them, virtually. They were using Zoom and other platforms to actually engage the customer. They would bring the product and show it to you, and you can ask questions, and then you can go online and you can go onto their online store and purchase. So it took away this, you know, and I'm just saying that because we have to get innovative and come out of comfort zones, just because you mentioned that, and begin to look at ways in which we can engage. Because sometimes, like you just said, you were not comfortable to buy a microwave because you're thinking, you know, I'm not seeing it. I'm not sure if the specs that maybe has been put is so, like, it's a trust issue. We trust that if we walk in and we see it, we check it, and we carry it, we trust that. But when we are buying online, that we've not seen it, and so there's definitely going to be a bit of insecurity there. But that's what we have to work on. But and we have to also look at services as well. And I'm saying that it doesn't have to only just be like products. You know, when I was doing some research around all types of commerce businesses, I mean, outside, people are now doing selling glasses. Opticians have now gone e-commerce. You know, all kinds of things. It's amazing the things that have gone onto the e-commerce platform. So it doesn't always have to be that necessarily you're selling a product. It can be a service that we're normally traditionally used to going into a brick and mortar, but now actually you can bring it to me. Is one. I know that a lot, when events went down because of not being permitted or allowed to do large gatherings, a lot of events companies obviously have been impacted by this decision. But then there are groups within that industry that actually should still be able to function, like the wedding events planners, or even the facilities that you can still engage. It's just a postponement with some of these events. People who have said they want to get married are still going to get married. They just can't do it now. So there's nothing stopping you, the wedding planner, in using technology to engage with your customers and then going online to do the shopping and still carry on with all the planning and execution. Are you getting me? So I think for me, when we're talking about products and services selling online, we've got to also get creative in how we get our products and services bought, or how we are also selling them. Do you get what I mean? So that because we're in this situation and we've got to find ways of engaging the customers. And if some products sometimes are not selling, even some of the essentials, it's not necessarily because they're not needed, but maybe because our customers are not sure they're going to get it online, or maybe it's the way we are kind of trying to put it across to them. But it's good to know that, of course, you're saying that the opportunities around the essential items, food and pharma and those things, and that we still got some work to do on other produce. But I do agree with you that we need to focus growth on everyday foods as well. Okay, so so I think we've discussed that. Someone asked that. Now, brick and mortar businesses are being encouraged to embrace e-commerce, and we've even been touching on it as we've been speaking. And of course, as businesses collapse, many people will be looking for new business opportunities, all right, even amid this crisis. And then, of course, you're going to have existing businesses now trying to maybe automate their businesses by taking it online. So I want to ask, like, what opportunities, if any, are emerging for e-commerce businesses, do you think, after the lockdown in Ghana? So we kind of know from what you've said what is happening, but do you think that out of this situation, there are other business opportunities that have come, whether it's new products that needs to come into the space, or whether it's services? Like, do you think there are opportunities? Maybe I'll start with you, Ebenezer, this time, right?
So I would say that definitely we've had new opportunities. In the past, there are certain suppliers that were happy selling brick and mortar, and they would not have liked to even have a conversation about online options. And just telling people, we just want you to expand your outlets without really having to build a platform, you know. And people either acted like they didn't understand, or they were clearly not interested. Now, the opportunity this has brought is that it's allowed us to be seen as important, and engagement is relatively easier. We've had situations where even companies like Nestle will call us and say, we want you to do and create an offer for our staff, because we as a company want to introduce a service to our staff because we are concerned that they may catch the virus. And so there are lots of opportunities that are arising. Sometimes we don't even see the opportunities because the opportunities don't present themselves as such. And so we as e-commerce businesses, and anybody who is aspiring to get into the e-commerce space, needs to begin to think, how do I see an opportunity? And then the last thing I've seen is that it's calling for a lot of synergies, a lot of us to interact and support each other. And we need to, because if we don't do a little bigger and play in the small space where we are comfortable with, there are two things that may happen. One, other people who have bigger money and bigger capacity can come and sweep away the opportunity. Or two, we are denying ourselves of growth relatively quicker if we need to. So I'll give you an example. During the lockdown, Jumia reached out to us and said, look, you are the ones who do the groceries. We probably, at the time, they didn't have a very wide SKU, and thought, look, we need to serve people. Can we do this together? What I'm trying to say is that there's an opportunity to begin to interact and say, can we share 50% of can I take 10% of the whole pie, or share 100% with somebody? I don't know. I mean, those are the things we need to look at. And for us, we are looking at running all our deliveries ourselves. In the long term, does it really make sense? You know, those are the opportunities. Which one can we let go? Which ones can we build upon? So it's not, we are no more in the phase where we are proving that e-commerce works. Because when I started Market Express, it seemed like we were proving to everybody that you can buy groceries online, and people were skeptical. We've moved from that point. Now we need to say, what are the other value propositions we can give? Because we've crossed the point of whether e-commerce is relevant. For me, one of the things that warmed my heart was the night the president announced the lockdown, mentioning e-commerce as an essential service, it was something else for me. It really, really touched my heart.
Yes.
And I think that this is an opportunity for us to open our eyes and begin to innovate and be willing to make mistakes and grow.
Right. Did John or Fia, did you want to add anything, John, to this point?
Sure. You know, actually talking about opportunities, with me, and they say, you know, once you identify a problem, it's an opportunity, right? Lots of delivery companies coming out there. I really think that is a field that has not been well, what word am I using? Maybe well automated or well streamlined. I have had so much issues with deliveries. I tend to do my own deliveries. You know, I have my own motorbikes and try to do the deliveries. It's not very feasible. You know, you can't go everywhere in the country. And, you know, earlier on you talked about something, you know, something that I had said. You alluded to, you know, you want to be there and see a microwave as opposed to, what do you call it, having it delivered to you. Well, if I was in the US, and I live both in the US and here, if I was in the US, I wouldn't even close my eyes. I would just go on Amazon or something and then buy the microwave. No, I'm serious. But why do I have that problem here?
Yeah.
There's a reason. The reason being, if I bring it home and it doesn't work, what do? Do I call them? Do I send it back? You know, in the US, if I bring it home and it doesn't work, all I do is I call them. They will call a delivery company to come to my house, pick it up, bring it back, and I get my money free. You know, that gives me an extra, what do you call it, comfort that, you know, and I can break it myself. Well, as long as it's come home, they'll come pick it up. I don't have that thing here. Now I have to call them. And do I have to drive to, I don't know, Jumia office or wherever it is? It's just so inconvenient. You know, I really do think the delivery chain, if we can perfect it, it would help a lot. If we can perfect the delivery chain so that I buy something, it will take 2 days, but I can go here, click, okay, it's here, it will come tomorrow. You know, that really gets me. That whole delivery chain thing is, to me, a big problem, which I think is an opportunity that can be perfected or can be made better. Let me put it that way.
Right. Fantastic. So from here, what I'm hearing is partnership opportunities with other e-commerce businesses, the delivery service, shipping, and even cross-border selling is another issue, because if someone in Kenya or somewhere, you know, because that's what we want to be able to do. Because now Amazon, you can, you know, is going to other countries. You can order things and it can be brought to you even here in Ghana. So there's not, we should also be thinking about being able to cross-sell even as a start on the continent. Who's going to take it? We know that, yes, there's DHL, EMS, but they're very expensive. So that's an opportunity really as well, the shipping of things. Now, one of the popular ways people are making money, or even in the commerce space, is through drop shipping. You know, this is an opportunity for us to aspire to. We can't do any drop shipping right now, but it's a big deal. Is one of the things that's made Amazon very successful. So shipping, delivery is a big opportunity for people to set up companies that are going to be very effective in helping e-commerce businesses take their products and services to their customers. I also think packaging is a big deal as well. You know, having, you know, good packaging companies that can bring all kinds of the latest packaging, you know, products to us, and we're not having to order them outside and order. And all these also create jobs, you know. I think one of the things you also raise here is the whole issue of return policy and process. And I guess maybe we'll look at that when we go, as we go on and start looking a bit more into commerce sites and what customers is maybe helping our customers or not. But I think that's a very good point, that if you want to return an item, what is going to be the process or the stress of it all. So you think, okay, let me just go and buy it, which we need to address as well. Okay, so now we come on to kind of cybersecurity. It's very hard to talk about e-commerce without cybersecurity coming in. And we know that, that is something that all e-commerce business owners have to constantly think about, how we protect our customers when they come onto our e-shops. So I'm asking you guys, maybe you can share with us like some of the things you've been doing to kind of boost the confidence of your customers to shop on and pay online on your site. Are you getting a lot of people paying using cards, or are you getting a lot of people using more payment by option of mobile money, whether before or when you deliver the products? What are you doing? What's happening in this space for you?
Can I come in?
Yes, start with you, Fiona.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for us at Africa Cut, with this issue about security. So what we basically do now, it's about 90% of our payments, option. It's cash on delivery, or let me say now, payment on delivery. So what will happen is we have a merchant alternative to payment cash on delivery. We do have merchant account where customers can pay, but they would only pay when the product is with them. When the delivery guy is there, then they say, okay, I don't want to give you money. I have it on my e-wallet and I want to pay by Momo. So that will be enabled. Other aspects also for security, what we've done to build confidence is sometimes we partnership with the banks. If basically you have a partnership and you can display that clearly on your website. So definitely people know I'm using Momo, I'm using this merchant account, or I'm using a web acquiring, service from this particular firm, maybe from bank A, bank B, bank C. They trust the bank, and inevitably also would trust you, because then it's like, before you were able to get that partnership, some checks were down on you. And so they feel safe to be able to also use card payments when the option is also there. But we do 90%, like I said, cash on delivery or payment on delivery.
Okay.
Okay. This is John.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 100% of my payments are by card. I do not take cash. I don't take a single cash from anybody. You either use any credit card, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover, or you pay by PayPal. And that takes a lot of work. And that's, this is one of the topics that's near and dear to my heart. To do that and on my website, to boost confidence is, I've gone a couple of steps. I spent quite a lot of money to invest in what do you call it, Trust Guard, Trust Security, and the seals on the website. So basically, I'm actually a PayPal verified company. Mm. So I display the PayPal verified seal. They have a seal. I display PayPal verified on my website. Okay. What I also do, which a little technical, but I think everybody knows about the padlock so that your website is secure.
Mm. Yeah.
What people don't realize is there are two types of security. Your website can be secure, but this is what I tell people. It's like you securely give something to a thief. What have you done? If the person's site is secure, it doesn't necessarily mean this thing. So you are clicking securely and giving it to a thief. So there is an extra, we call it extended validation security. Yes. If you go to most websites and you click on the padlock, it will tell you this site is secure, but the identity of the company is unknown. I don't know if you've noticed that, plenty. I actually also made myself available for an extended validation security, so that when you click on me, this site, the seal belongs to Ghana Mart Incorporated, and that has been validated. So these are little things I do, and I actually put it on my website. And when I advertise, I actually let customers know that I do all these. So this is a very secure website. There's a company called TrustGuard. Everybody knows McAfee. Mm. I pay a little bit for them all to validate my site so that I can put their seal on my website. Yeah. So on my side, I do not take any cash. I only do cards. What the kind of comfort that that's for people, which I let people know is, if you don't want the product, if you buy from me and tomorrow you think you don't want it, I'm going to give you your money back through the card. And that's one point that I was talking about with my frustration here, where I go buy it, you come home, I give you the cash, you go back. Later on, your product was not good. It opens up too much complexities to me. So, you know, like the previous topic, I just think there is so much opportunity that we can do to automate it. I noticed lots of e-commerce sites over here do that. Even Momo, you know, they don't take the card. A lot of them take the cards. But I'm more comfortable with a site accepting a card payment from me, because then I have a trackable payment.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Actually, that was very, very insightful. The security on the site is very important. I mean, even though for example, the e-commerce association, we're not an e-commerce shop. We are going through the SSL, and I'm glad you expanded on the second element, which is the validation. We are doing that. We have our domain with GoDaddy, and they actually sell them there. So if you have a domain with GoDaddy, some of your domain people, companies may have the SSL that you can actually purchase there. But outside of that, if you're actually having a commerce store, you have to do a bit more than that. And I think you mentioned TrustGuard and all the others as well, to make sure that your site is secure. If you're using a commerce site builder, you know, like let's say Shopify and all of those things, they tend to have the additional security there. But if you're having your own site, it's still very important to make sure that, you know, especially your payments, you know, those things are done. You know, it's very, very important, because that's what's going to build the confidence of our consumers to actually pay using cards and not necessarily Momo. All right. Okay, good. That was very insightful. I think the key point here is security of our stores is very important.
Can I add one more thing?
Did you want to make it? Yes, go on.
Okay, so he mentioned earlier, there are two forms of security, but I want to add a third. Sometimes when you choose card solutions, we've had some card fraud maybe 3 years ago. And it was such a funny situation because it involved a big company. Like the card that was used was a Oil refinery card. So you can just imagine what kind of issue that was. But I'm just saying this for anybody who's looking at receiving card payments also, that the standard card verification process is important. Because the agreements usually between the banks and Visa or MasterCard is that if there's a fraud, they will do a chargeback. Yep. So they will charge back the provider of the service, and then you also will, the provider will just hit you with the chargeback. But the truth is that the items are already gone. And so what we have done on our side is to argue with our payment processor to say, verify every card. Once the verification is done, I'm not taking any responsibility for chargebacks. And so that's one of the things that sometimes just for our attendees and anybody else, sometimes just going for card payments on your website is not security enough. You need to explore the conversation around what happens when there's a card fraud and what's the chargeback policy.
I'm glad you say that, because that is a very big, I've been taking cards for about 12 years now, and that is it's a whole topic. I mean, yeah, chargeback is a big one. I'm glad you brought that. I deliberately didn't bring it back. Chargeback is a whole different topic. Yes, we can spend 2 hours on chargebacks.
Yeah, when we look at payments, we're going to have to look at that, because outside of that is even the charge. You know, we want people to use their cards, but even the charge for the consumer to use the card from Visa and MasterCard, etc., is also a problem that we need to find a voice to kind of challenge, you know, so more people want to use their cards. So I've noted that the chargeback for future reference when we look at that in a session. Okay, so moving on to strategy. So here we're saying that e-commerce and online retailers are all seeking agility to push their way through COVID-19. So, you know, what strategies would you recommend to e-commerce businesses to adapt in order to thrive and survive the e-commerce in Ghana? I mean, you know, we're not out of COVID, we're still trying to survive, and we're saying that with restrictions removed, we're seeing a bit of a drop in patronage. So that means we can't really go to sleep. We have to come up with strategies to keep the customers coming back to purchase. So, you know, any, you know, 3 pointers, 4 pointers on strategies to ensure thrive and survival?
Okay, let me take this one.
Okay.
The biggest way to grow an e-commerce business or any business is by retention. Now, one of the good things about consumer goods is that you can estimate utilization. And I think that sometimes we want to put our business on technology and let technology run everything. But the truth is that we are not there yet, where we sublet the things we need to do to technology. So what I wanted to say is that one of the things that is critical is customer service and having a way to get feedback from customers, and also finding a way to get the customers coming back. And that's the real way to grow, and that's the innovation we all have to work around. So for example, for us, we have an app, but there's somewhere we want our app to get to, and also our web experience to get to. So if you take an Uber, you want to be able to evaluate the service, and you would have to evaluate the service when you get out of the car, you know. But when it comes to online purchases, there's a lag in the whole transaction, getting the person to evaluate the service and those things. And that will allow you to see who will come back and who won't come back. And I think that one of the things that we must agree to do in this part of the world is to deliberately have customer care as part of e-commerce. E-commerce is supposed to take you away from brick and mortar and let technology run it. But the truth is that on this part of the world, we should be speaking to the people every moment. And we should also have a way of predicting when the person must have run out of something. And so, for example, for us is we find ways, like people get tired of getting called and stuff like that, but we find a lot of ways to engage people who have used our service, and we're able to predict when they will come back and stuff like that. And I really think that that's the only way to grow our sales and maintain the community we are currently receiving. And once we put that in a system, we will be able to grow our customers and increase our profitability. And so that's the only thing I would like to add to ensuring that we grow this industry.
John, did you want to?
Yeah. Oh, so somebody was coming in. Finish up, and then I come in.
Okay. So I would take it from the point of delivery. Now, what I've realized is, you know, like we're saying now, how to retain those customers. My advice would be that our delivery policy should be well defined. Delivery is one layer to e-commerce. I mean, it's one of the things that drives e-commerce. So our policy should be well defined and followed through. So then when a customer is buying an item, or a customer who had experienced an item or experienced purchase from us and had the thing delivered on time within the stipulated policy frame, would understand that, okay, I bought it I got it in 2 days, or I bought it. They have an express delivery. They have 24 hours delivery, which we do. We do 24 hours delivery to win customers. So what we've done is at 24 hours delivery, maybe you pay something small. Customers are able to do that. They do that, they get their time, they keep coming back because they get it on time and they pay. It's like a prime service sort of a thing. You want express, we do it for you. If not, we give you within 48 hours, and we are specific to that. Within 48 hours, you get your item. If we champion this very well and our policies are clear, just like my brother said, with returns and also with returns, because policy delivery would also come with return policy as well. If that is done well and we follow through, we'll win these customers, we'll keep them with us, they will keep coming, and retention should be very high. Thank you very much.
John, did you want to add anything on the strategy? So far we're saying customer service and a good delivery process and policy. So that's the second one.
Yes, they both, I believe it or not, they both took it from me. On my platform, for instance, and I think, was it Eben also who talking about calling customers? I actually have a policy which is kind of underground to, make the customers happy. It's on my website. It's a policy that I talk to every customer before I process the goods. There are two reasons why I do that. One of the reasons which customers don't realize is, and I think it's kind of like chargeback. So I have to talk to you to validate and make sure that, this is the phone number, you are the credit card owner. And that's one way of also thanking the customer for buying for us. The second, what I also do is, I know I can deliver in 24 hours. I ask all customers to please allow 48 hours. I do it sometimes same day or 24 hours. I call it trying to under-promise and over-deliver. And it's always worked. So it's a double-edged sword. The funny part about it is, I think I've had a lot of customers who have noticed that 80% of the time I do it the same day, though I've asked them for 48 hours. So sometimes in 24 hours, they call me, oh, why? And, but they cool down. I guess the whole idea being, if you stick to your customer service, I actually have a customer service where we call every single customer who makes an order. We don't just bring to you, we talk to you, ask you if you have received the problem. Every single customer that makes a purchase has been talked to by us. That is something that we do. It's a lot of work, but I found out 80 to 90% of my customers come back to buy just by doing that.
Right. So customer experience and service is very important because you can have a very good customer service, and I'm speaking with direct experience, meaning that you've placed the order, you've paid for it, someone has called to confirm, etc. That's the service, of purchasing. And then have a very bad customer experience, which is the delivery. I'm just giving myself as an example where I had a very good service, to order the product, etc. But then the experience became negative when I now have to get in my car and go and meet the delivery person twice from 2 different e-commerce stores. Collect my item because I got so stressed out trying to direct the person to my house. And I'm just like, why are people not using, Google Maps or GPS or something, and if I have to get in my car, really what is the incentive to kind of come back and order again? So the experience for me started off really well, but then it just got not so great because the pleasure of sitting at home and having it brought to me was taken away because I had to go and meet somebody and pick it up. So the customer service and experience is really important. In fact, e-commerce is even more so than even when you go into the shop because I can't see you, so already, you have that challenge of not, if I go into a shop, they can have a nice chair, they'll give me maybe water, a soft drink, they do all kinds of things when I'm physically present in there, but you really can't.
Can I add one more thing? I'm glad you said that.
So that means from the entry points onto your site, into my e-cart, into paying and into delivery, that's your opportunity into making me feel great. And then even the packaging, I mentioned packaging, and is one that we're going to look at, the packaging of unwrapping what you're sending me. I mean, I've received things and I'm just like, really? Did you just take it out of the warehouse, back office there? No one even thought they should just dust it down. You know, all these things sit with service and experience, because sometimes customers also have options now, even in Ghana, even in Africa. And they're now going to think, okay, who else sells these things? You know, because I had to go and meet you, I received the product, is not clean, is that, you know, all these things, for me, of the things you said, service is number one, not taking our customers for granted. And even we have to work harder because they are not coming into a physical shop. I think that's really important.
Can I add one more thing, Anita?
Yes.
Yes, actually, just kind of piggyback on what you just said, you know, about the service. So just a little experience I'll share. So I had a customer that had to be served at Ibri. And with my problems about this delivery, I was trying a new delivery company. I don't want to put their name out there. Customer was supposed to receive the items, let's say in 24 hours, okay, or the following day. I called the customer, was supposed to receive it. 24 hours, the items hadn't got in there. 48 hours, item hadn't got in there. I'm not kidding. I actually parked my car, drove all the way to Ibri. Yeah, seriously, personally, put stuff in my car, drove there, gave the customer the items. Later on that day, the delivery company was going to deliver it. And I told them to just give it to the customer. The customer got double. I lost money, but I was okay keeping that customer. And guess what? I just, that very day, I just canceled everything with the delivery company. I figured they were not serious. You know, but I mean, just kind of off of the back of what you were saying, it was important to make that customer happy. I don't think it wasn't about the money.
Yeah, it's important, this delivery thing, because they you know, when you purchase something, it's just as we discussed. I'm just asking myself, do I really even think about, was I even separating the delivery person from the company? I don't think I do. Like, I just think I've ordered it from so and so shop, and you're supposed to bring it to me. So whether you're using an external delivery or your own, I don't think you reflect on that. You just know that they're supposed to bring it to you. So it means you got to be very careful with your delivery companies, because they could be affecting your brand and your business by, you know, this kind of behavior as well. So, well, we will be talking to some of the companies to see what their challenges and what we need to do about it, because that's a big deal in the whole customer experience. Okay, so for here, we're saying customer service, customer experience is very important. Delivery policy and process is very important. We said under promise and over delivering is also a very good strategy to help you thrive and survive e-commerce amid this COVID. All right. Now, what about sales? You know, it's all about sales in all survival plans. Even if you're industries that are doing well in the COVID, we all need cash in, and we need as much of it as we can possibly get. So any suggestions on tactics to grow the sales now that obviously we're out of lockdown, do you think? So we've talked about the strategies to keep getting them coming about, but now actual sales tactics. You know, is it our social media? Like, what other tactics do we need to be thinking about to really get some sales in?
Okay. Hello.
Hello. So yes. You can start Ebenezer, and then we'll move to
Ebenezer.
Okay. So what I would say is that sales is okay. Let me tell you things I've learned. Okay, just for those who may go and do the same thing in the future. I think that the best way as a young e-commerce company to get sales is through referrals and through groups and a good social media. I put social media last because it depends on what you do. Some don't work. But one of the things that I have learned that will never generate anybody's sales is radio advertising. So radio advertising is going to give you brand. So when people mention your name, they've heard the name before and stuff like that. And so anytime you hear people running ads on radio and stuff like that, my humble advice to anybody who will listen is know that they are building brand. The reason why MTN is still running adverts is not because they want people to buy SIM cards, but they are building brand as a reputation. So I'm saying this for anybody who may have not done this before and they are itching that that's what they may be losing on and stuff like that. Radio advertising doesn't build sales. I think how we've grown has mainly been around, one, referrals from people who are satisfied. And so our biggest way of growing sales is ensuring that the people who use our service appreciate it. And we should encourage them to tell somebody. The other way is social media, but we should remember that social media only takes up offers. And I don't think we can build this industry around deals and offers and things like that. And then we should use groups. So year groups and all these groups that are available help. And that will be my suggestion around growing sales.
Okay, thank you, Evan. Theo, your
yeah, okay, so I will start with our objectives when, like, social media. I'm a better person, social media. Our objectives when trying to advertise on social media to drive in sales. Like you said, I mean, on radio, yeah, the experience might be the same, just brand. On social media, if you take Facebook, for instance, you know, like we all know already that there are objectives which you have to carefully pick when trying to create awareness for your product so that customers can come in. What we've noticed is that for our part here, we know our part of the region where we are, the best thing to do is to generate leads for customer service to close the sales. So basically, people want to have a human face. So the guy sees the thing on Facebook and we still want to talk to somebody. And then so you train your customer service in such that they are sales oriented. You know, it's not like just being there, nice talk. They're sales oriented. So if you can even set them targets, you know, sort of a thing. So as soon as calls come through, because you're generating leads to them, as soon as calls come through, they know this is an opportunity to make a sale. And so they are so aggressive. It's like they're trying to, you know, get things done in that way. That would be one for me. The other would be partnership. I mean, looking at hybrids. So, for example, like sales, because we are selling items, we do mainly electronics, like I'm saying. So if we have partnerships with local, already existing electronic shops, you know, in certain strategic locations. So what happens is the customers, they can do deliveries quickly from such places, and so the timing will be more shorter for people. So, oh, okay, I can bring it in the next 30 minutes, right? So you are in Amazon or wherever, there's somebody closer, maybe from Pokwasi to that side who can deliver. So then sales could be faster. Or those places could also serve as pickup points for you. So you have some of your items spread out in those locations. And so when customer, you know, when you give them the option of, oh, don't wait for delivery, maybe delivery can't be free, it can't be, you know, you need to put some cost to it, you put them back. Then what you can do is, okay, then go to the nearest shop, this shop, that shop, that shop. You are in Kaswa, right? So go to this place and pick it up, have some of the products there. Things like that can also help. I think basically that, yeah, I mean, this would be the three that I think would help in growing our sales.
Okay. John?
Well, yeah, I think everybody's experience is different. Somebody will say you got to find what works best for you and, you know, stick to it. You know, actually a bit of radio has really worked for me. And how do I know? Because I actually track it. I asked, you know, like I said, I talked to customers. So I asked them how they heard about us. And, you know, when we started, you know, obviously you start Ghana, nobody knows about it. I found out, I did some radio, and not that much because it's expensive. So in that case, I guess, I don't know, I don't consider the return of investment on radio very good. It's extremely expensive. A small, you know, segment is quite expensive. I'm not that rich. So Yeah, I agree. So maybe you're talking more of the return of investment on that. Yeah, it's very expensive. But that said, I did quite a, believe it or not, my biggest growth came from, and it's not the same, but it came from an online radio station in the US. So obviously I needed to target a specific demographic based on the type of business I ran. And I realized a lot of people in Ghana, we have online radio stations that we go. So I linked a couple of them and I started running some adverts there. And a bunch of my customers came from there. So it may not be traditional radio, it's online radio. You can link that to social media, I don't know, but that helped me. Number two also is I do a lot of social media, both organic and paid social media, Facebook, Instagram. I actually pay a little bit. Every couple of months I'll pay, promote a little bit of a clip that I get one of these comedians or somebody to do for me. So, like we both said, find what works for you. You're gonna try everywhere, fail some places, see what works for you. You find it. I think you run with what works for you. It's not a one size fits all.
Right. Thank you for that. So that's some tips on the referrals, social media, hybrid partnerships are all ways to grow your sales. Okay. So this is our last question on here, and then I'll check to see a few points. I think some questions we've answered, but I'll check, and then we'll be closing. Our time is fast spent. Here, I just wanted to touch on the fact that we have to educate our customers to shop online, especially as we know a lot of customers have come online due to COVID. And I'm really asking, what are some of the best ways to go about educating your customers so that they can actually patronize your online stores, including those who may not be very technology savvy? All right. So we start with you, John, just some 2-3 points on how you can educate your customers to be able to use your online store to shop.
I don't know. The one thing I'll say is keep it simple. Look, somebody comes to your website and it's going to take so long to load. Chances are that they are not even going to wait for it to finish loading. They're going to get out of the ride. I'm an e-commerce website. In the past, I remember a couple of friends told me, why don't you put this? Why don't you put this? No, I don't need to put anything. I don't need to put any video clip. I don't need to put anything that will entertain customers that's going to take valuable bandwidth. You come to my website, what I'm offering to you is right there, and I really believe in keeping your website very simple. Someone said to me years ago in school that if you look at Google, they probably have the most boring website, but it works. You go there, you know what you want, and that's it. They're not trying to put too much there. One thing also that I've noticed in these days, look, everybody is on their cell phones. So tailor your, when you've done your website, also make sure you have a responsive, section of the website. Don't just think because it opens on the web, on the phone, it's optimized for the phone. You got to create a responsive site that they go on the web, they don't have to be scrolling back and forth, left and right, up and down, I just say, if you're creating the website, make it self-intuitive, keep it simple, just go to the basics. And then at the end of the day, like we all said, have a customer service. I have a customer service phone out there 24/7. You call, we're going to talk to you. If you sign in to our website, we have a backend that monitors everything. If you sign in and we see that you are clicking too much, we'll call you. We are calling to check on you, or you just say that you saw our website, you need any help? And it works. We'll stay on the phone and guide you through it the first time. So, like I said, keep it simple, engage with your customers. I have, a back end where I'm looking at every customer, whatever link they are on, I see it on my website. Once they create an account, their name pops up and I can see everything that they've clicked. So right. I call them and I help, yeah. So, keep it simple. Don't get too excited, about just trying to get people to, be happy, put some, I don't know, tunes there, movies there. I just don't believe in all that.
Okay. What about you, Theo? Anything to add to what John just said?
Yes. I mean, just to add on, I was going to say, there's a short video, not on the site, but maybe from where you're directing them from on the social media can help. You could also have a simple banner, which is like a welcoming banner that has graphical direction on where to go, how to, that kind of thing. Your engine, your search should be very simple. Then clearly your phone number should be boldly written somewhere. Should be visible enough on the site. So when they get there and they lock up somewhere, why not? They just would call the customer service who would walk them through. So other things that John mentioned has to do with softwares that can let you know when the customer is on, where he is, and all that. Yeah, we have all that too also. So I think basically that. Just make your website usable, usability. You can test it over and again to perfect it with the demographics you are targeting. You can actually let people of that sort try, because you're targeting people. If it's old age, you get them in, do the testing and see. Don't just assume they can do it, and then see what can be done. Maybe sometimes you just have to change your fonts, get things read properly. Things like that can make it simple for newbies online to be able to go to your website smoothly. Thank you.
Okay, Eben, anything else to add?
I think that covers it. I think that covers it. The only thing I will add will not be related. I'll just say there's opportunity here, and it takes the patience to discover it. And so we should all be patient and work at it with all seriousness.
Okay, so I think we've just covered that with that question. So in conclusion then, gentlemen, how do you, future-proof your online retail strategy, do you think, in terms of coming out of lockdown into the new normal? So I want you to think about that. And I want you to kind of answer that with your final thoughts. And in your final thoughts, I kind of want you to give just 3 points on what e-commerce businesses should do to ensure they survive COVID as restrictions continue to be lifted, or if we should go back into lockdown. Now, we know we've just been talking about some of the challenges, delivery, communication, etc. We know that when there were the surges, commerce businesses did have some challenges with some of these areas. And so you kind of have to use the foresight to kind of plan, because we're hearing in the global community, there may be possible re-lockdowns, meaning lockdowns will return. We are also hearing Ghana, we may end up back in lockdown because our numbers are going. So it means as long as we're in this crisis, we can never really 100% say we won't maybe go back into a lockdown situation or even removal of all restrictions. So I kind of just want you to, in your final thoughts, in very sharp 2-3 points on the way forward in terms of future-proofing and surviving COVID-19 as a commerce business. So I'll come to you first, John, and then I'll come across to the Eben and Theo, and then we will close. So very briefly, what is your response in your final thoughts?
Okay, I think for most businesses to survive, first you got to make sure, after you get such a spike, you got to make sure it's scalable. If you're making 5 deliveries a day and now you're doing 30 deliveries a day, what will happen if you do 60 deliveries a day? Are you going to be out of it? What things are you putting in place to be able to meet your demands? You have to make sure you're scalable. If all those growth is coming, you can handle it. I read somewhere that scalability is one thing that kills businesses quick. You go pitch your business to a big company like Walmart somewhere, and they're like, okay, bring us 1 million, items, and you're not able to deliver. And they're going to move to somebody else, or somebody else will fill that space. What I mean by that is, if a new lockdown, and from my end, for instance, during the lockdown, one of my biggest issue was stuck because obviously demand went high, and I realized I had a limited supplier base. That supplier ran out of rice, and what do I do? So how do you expand that space? How do you get more people in that space? That's another point. Another point is, we all do deliveries. What can you do to ensure a more effective delivery chain? Once you get a good supply chain, what are you going to be doing to get a better delivery chain to, to make the customers happy so they come back again? So one, scalability through your supply chain, through your delivery chain, your delivery network, yes.
Eben, 3 points.
Okay, so I would say that the 3 that comes to mind, and also from experience, definitely systems are important. So I realized that generally we as a people and as a country do not have a systems culture. And so a lot of things depend on we, the entrepreneurs. And we are not building our customers to trust in our systems. And so sometimes our customers want to talk to us for every problem. And so for scalability, I think that we need to look at creating systems. And it's one of the things that in the last 6 to 8 months I've been working hard on. And there's this book that I've been reading. I'll remember later. But I think that one of the biggest things is if we really want to scale, we need to become like a McDonald's, where it doesn't matter where it is in the world, it works, and you expect the same results. So if I have one thing, I'll mention that. The second thing I'll mention is we should be optimistic. A lot of things are changing very, very fast to ensure that we have a logistic channel to use. I know that Ghana Post is working aggressively on something. I don't know how that will turn out, but optimism means that we should be looking and finding solutions around us. People have developed all sorts of things. If we can partner and join and use the opportunities around. And then the last thing is that we need to have a tough skin to go the full distance. E-commerce is like we are all in water, and the person who will win will be the ones who will survive for a long time in the water. And I see that sometimes we look at what other people are doing and we are scared and things like that. I really think that we don't have to worry about that. The market opportunity is vast. If we are not doing 1% of retail, and then that's not just one person, but together, all of us, we are not doing 1%, then the opportunity is enormous. And we should find which part of the opportunity you can get. I mean, I can just imagine. KPMG did a report on retail in Ghana in 2015, and the market was $5 billion annually. Anybody who gets even 0.5% of that market is a significant enterprise in Ghana and in the world, or in Africa. So for me, it's more around how do we build our businesses? How do we take some of that pie? And how do you stay relevant and long enough to grow? And if I have one last thing, I'll say let's explore, not necessarily trying to raise money, but let's explore other ways of growing, which involves synergies and partnerships, is what I would say.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. And then, Theo, do you have
something to add? Yes. I would quickly start with the categories. As we've all seen, with the COVID restrictions, whether they continue or they'll be lifted, it actually defines the categories. Like my brothers are saying, they are more, you know, solid in groceries, and you see the traditional electronic hubs now coming to, you know, wanting to also do groceries. So defining, this is the defining moment for the product category. So then, because people are now aware and they want to try, and so you can see what they're liking and what they are not, what they are buying and what they are not buying, and steady, and then know that, okay, this and this will work for me. So that'll be a choice to do. Partnership, like they've also said, it's also good. The other thing would be for the new entrants, you know, like a new entrance to e-commerce business. There are so many technologies around that we can add on, from social media to that and all that. But my advice would be that we start small. You start small and you add on as and when, you know, you need it, because social media is there. We have Instagram, we have WhatsApp now, we have Facebook. Not all will work for you. So you have to define properly, and you add on as and when you need it. Do you go do you do optimized messaging? Do you do that? So then we start small and then we add on. Then maybe logistics also, like they've said. If you can't do it alone, you partner. There's so much room for everyone in the space. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. So just to rein in, I mean, we've hit a lot of you've been very insightful. Like you've shared very good information from your own e-commerce shop businesses, which we're really grateful for. The transparent sharing. And what I've taken from the conversation is that, yes, you know, customer patronage on online has gone down a little bit, but people are still purchasing online. And that if you're an e-commerce business, you need to just work that much harder to get your customers seeing your shop as a good everyday alternative to getting their products and services. We're seeing that delivery is a bit of a challenge. I think the delivery issue, once we're able to resolve it, will also solve the issue of being able to serve our customers in other regions. I think we had a few pointers. John shared his experience with us with Ebri and so on. So we know that delivery is an opportunity area for people to go into, but also it's one of our pains that we have to really come up with good strategies to address it. And I guess it starts with a conversation with the courier service providers. And then also we mentioned about the whole, the policy on customers building trust on being able to return their items. And so again, we have to look at our return policies, how the timing of those policies and how that works, that also came up. And then we also the points around sales tactics. It was about referrals, using groups, also using our social media. We had some tips and things on there as well. And then lastly, we just had a whole summed up on where you need to be looking at in terms of surviving on COVID-19. We said about being scalable. We talked about looking at your stock in terms of your supply chain. Delivery came back up again. We're talking about putting in systems and also being optimistic is very, very important. And then also exploring other opportunities. And I know partnership has come up quite a few times in our discussions. So it makes business sense right now to partner. You're even saving cost on marketing or your usual activities. So that's another thing that's come up here. So I hope our audience that were able to join us in the live cast, you've taken some value out of this, and then those of you who will listen after the session will take some value out of this. This is what the e-commerce association is all about, trying to engage people in the industry to share information on what is happening, so that we can all improve in the way that we are serving our customers and growing our businesses. So I want to take this opportunity to thank our panelists, John, Ebenezer, and Theo, for their time, and also for really sharing really good insights for us. I would actually recommend those who attended at a later point, you kind of re-listen to the recording when we shared the link, because there was a lot of valuable points and guides to help you with your own e-commerce business. So just to remind you as well that you can join the e-commerce Association of Ghana at ecommerceassociationofghana.com. You can also email us at ecommerceassociationofghana@gmail.com. we do have different membership. As I said, we also have a lot of payment options available as well. And if you're not in our social networks, do join our social networks. So as we continue to do these webinars and other sessions to build your capacity, to bring you information, to help with your knowledge, give you insights, and to let you know what is happening in the industry, you'll be able to participate. So on that note, I would like to also thank you, our audience, for attending. We are really encouraged by your support for actually attending these webinars, and also all your comments and support on our social handles. I really want to thank you for that. It's not easy to build something, especially something you want to last even past yourselves. So the association is for all of us. It's for Ghana. It doesn't belong to any of us who are currently pushing it. So we really appreciate the support that all of you are giving us to make sure that we have a good association that we are all proud of. So once again, thank you, John. Thank you, Ebenezer. And thank you, Theo. And thank you so much to our audience for attending. Until the next session, thank you very much. Have a very good day. It's been a pleasure, and goodbye.
Thank you so much.